Well, hello everybody. Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be with you on this beautiful Thursday. Yes, almost the end of another week. I have to travel tomorrow to deal with a very serious personal matter, and a dear friend is preparing for their journey into eternity, and I've got to go check on them and see them off at all if the Lord gives me that honor and blessing. So I won't be with you tomorrow for certain, and Lord willing, be back with you on Monday. But I hope you're having a beautiful day. We started talking yesterday about how we can know God. Now that seems like kind of a maybe even a strange question, because when we look at it in a totality, when we look at just the word alone, God, unfortunately, in the world today, we see that word is ever expansive. And by that, I simply mean a lot of people have a lot of versions of what that means. Because it could be anything to some. It could be a tree, it could be a star, it could be whatever. But what I want us to understand is the ability, the opportunity, and the reality of knowing the Creator of it all. In other words, how we can know God the Father. But before we get too deep into that, I want to just share just a few minutes with you today on why. Why should we want to? What difference does it make, if you will? Well, let's begin with the concept and the understanding of peace. Now, the word peace in and of itself means the absence of conflict. Okay? So we look around the world and we see, utter chaos all the time, and this person against that person, and this group against that group, and this country against that country, and whatever the case. This party against that party, politics and all this stuff. So the idea of no conflict almost seems impossible. It seems foreign to some degree. However, we can have internal peace. We can have peace with God. We can have the peace of God. And we'll eventually look into that as well in this lesson. But what I want us to understand is if we have no God, N-O, in our life, then we also have no peace. That internal reasoning that allows us to have the ability to weather the storms, deal with the issues, and sleep at night, regardless of what's happening around us, not because we don't care, or not because we're super people, superhuman or whatever, but we trust God. But in order to trust Him, we have to know Him. In order to formulate a relationship with Him, we have to know Him. Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, he writes in chapter 57 of his book, verse 21, "There is no peace, says God, to the wicked." I believe what I'm about to tell you with all my heart. One will never find complete and total peace in their life outside of a relationship with Christ. I believe that with all my heart. Because what we do, we find ourselves constantly pursuing something to fill that void. Oh, this brings me joy, this brings me happiness, this brings me, whatever. Solitude and peace and all this other stuff. But that's all temporary. Even the feeling of happiness, that's a temporary emotion that is fleeting. In other words, it's up one minute and down the next. You're doing great right now. You're feeling good. You're enjoying yourself. Whatever whatever you're doing, you may be at work. You may be in the gym. Maybe out fishing. Whatever. And you're feeling great. And then the phone rings, which that disrupts the whole thing to start with. When the phone starts ringing, but depending on what the news is on the other end of that. Some family tragedy, some serious, health matter with a loved one. Your bill is overdue and they're about ready to turn your lights off, whatever. Happy flies right out the window with that. So temporary things are never long lasting, and they're certainly never eternal. But when we know God, and I mean know God, not know about God, know God, we have the ability, we have the capacity to find peace if we desire it. So we go back to Scripture again. It says, ask, and it'll be given. Seek, and you'll find. Knock, and it'll be answered. It's offered. The opportunity is there. Our willingness to participate in that is what changes the dynamic. Jesus teaches in John chapter 14, peace I leave with you. So the opportunity to have it is there. He says, my peace I give you, not yours, which is oftentimes built around a moment. It is oftentimes built around the circumstance. Things are nice and calm and peaceful right now because there's nothing bad going on. But the minute that changes, the minute the wind blows in another direction, the minute that something doesn't go the way that I want it to, all peace is out the window. But Jesus said, I'm not leaving you your peace, I'm leaving you my peace. But what does that require? I know who it is that's leaving this for me. How can I know God? Why should I want to know God? Do you want to have peace in your life? I don't mean the absence of conflict in the sense of you're never going to have another problem. But do you want to know the one who can help you navigate that? Jesus said, peace I leave with you. So it's there. But will you receive it? Will you pick it up? Will you embrace it? My peace. So not just any peace. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives. What does that mean? Temporary. Every single thing that this world has to offer is temporary. Whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 20 years, it's still temporary. He says, I don't give to you as the world gives you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. How can I do that? We'll go back to accepting the first part, the peace that God gives us. But that all goes back to knowing who it is that is offering said peace. Because if I don't know him, I don't trust him. And if I don't trust him, I'm probably not going to receive anything from him that I'm going to accept because I don't know you. I don't know your intentions. I don't know your nothing. This all goes back to relationship, which is the absolute core and foundation of my ministry. And again, I don't say that because for some exclusivity that I'm the only one that has that. But I don't hear it a lot. And I don't say that in any kind of prideful or arrogant way. But I don't hear anybody teaching that. I'm sure there are many who do. But I don't hear it. I hear about everything else. How to deal with this, how to deal with that. And those things may be fine. But it's just like the Bible. Many people have read the Bible, but they don't know the author. And until you do, it doesn't make any sense. It's a collaboration of multiple generations and time periods of stories and accounts and this and that. But when you know the author, you begin to see the message. And the message will lead you to the heart of the author, which will lead you to knowing who God really is and how he presents himself to us. It changes the dynamic of everything. It changes everything. And Jesus said, don't let your heart be troubled. Don't be afraid. We got this. We have got this. So when one desires to know God, they can find peace. The peace that seems completely impossible to find. It's there if we will receive it, because it's being offered. It's very evident if we look around us and we see the lives of those around us who don't know God. They know about God. They don't know God. There's something missing. It's just missing. It's not judgmental, critical. It's just true. There's something there. There's not a grounding. There's something there that is not an anchor that has been placed. Something's missing. And as long as it stays missing, as long as they keep him out, the absence of that peace, the absence of that calmness and that joy will remain. See, friends, our heart's greatest desire, it should be to know God. I mean, to really know God. We're going to pick that back up on Monday as to what this passage from Exodus, what is Moses saying when he says, I pray, if I have found grace in your sight, if I'm where I need to be, show me your way. I'm surrendering mine. I'm getting me out of the way. Show me your way that I might know you. We're going to talk about that on Monday. God bless you. Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.